Hi everybody, Matt and Tom back with you. Today we're doing a little tour of Haworth. We're starting here at Haworth Old Hall and we're going to end up at the end in Haworth Cemetery. In between there's about half a mile of a street from here to the top. We're going to show you why that stretch of street could well be the most haunted street in Britain. So the Old Hall is one of the oldest buildings in Haworth, and we're going to start here because, as you might be able to see in the shadow under the light, there is a face carved there. It's not very clear in this light. I'll take a photo so you can see it. So it's said that that head could well be a memorial to a builder who died in its construction. Also, 1992 there was some work going on here. Two builders ran out in fright after seeing a figure in the cellar, I think, with a top hat. And that top-hatted ghost may well appear elsewhere today. So we're starting on Haworth Main Street, and if you've never been to Haworth before, I do recommend it. Obviously it's well known as the place of the Brontës. It gets lots of tourists. Next up, halfway up Main Street, we find the Fleece Inn, another haunted pub. This one's an odd one because the reports here are that in the ladies' toilets, occasionally there is a black mass shape appears. And that's been reported to be one of the people who used to own this building, who was regarded as a pretty nasty man who may well have abused his wife, even though his wife is also reported to walk on the corridor outside the toilets. Well, the hauntings of Haworth have become quite big business, so you can find shops like this now. Next up we have the Black Bull. This is one of the oldest surviving pubs in Yorkshire, apparently, from the 16th century, and perhaps unsurprising being in Haworth. Some of these ghosts are linked to the Brontës. So the ghost of the Black Bull is said to be that of Branwell Brontë, and he used to apparently drink in here when he lived here in Haworth, and obviously he's the brother of the Brontë Sisters. And apparently there was a bell somewhere near the bar that he was known to have rung when he wanted a drink. And apparently that bell has been heard ringing sometimes in the dead of night. People have heard it from outside, or if they've been in there, they've come down, no sign of anybody, apart from there is also apparently a replica chair inside, which they've said something was once seen there. He's also been seen crossing the cobbles here at some point, so is it Branwell or is it someone else? We don't know. Our next stop takes us into Haworth Church and the St Michael's and All Angels graveyard. So we might be able to have a look inside the church whilst we're here, but we'll head to the graveyard first. Okay, so we're in the graveyard here, which is said to hold 40,000 bodies. Now there was a major problem in Haworth back in the, I think, 1750s, because all these gravestones that you can see here were actually all laying flat, not stood up as they are now. And what used to happen is the water would come off the hills here and it would go in a way under the gravestones that, as I say, were flat, and the water, the rainwater, would mix with the dead bodies underneath. Now, of course, back then some of these bodies had collected all sorts of different illnesses, and that was why they died. So it was mixing with the water, heading down into Haworth village. And of course, the locals had absolutely no choice but to drink the water that was there. So this was like a real festering graveyard with bits of bodies stuck up out of the graves. And it's no surprise really that life expectancy in the 18th century here in Haworth for an adult was only 25, and for children it was only 6, because they were drinking this contaminated water. Now, interestingly, Patrick Brontë, who was the Brontë Sisters' father, who was part of this church here, he was responsible for the standing up of these gravestones and to make things slightly better. But there's actually been reports of potentially Patrick Bronte's ghost has been seen walking through here, to the point that people who have seen him actually think it's not a ghost, it's an actual person. They were so convinced that they'd seen a person here in a cape and a top hat, again the top hat, and they've decided that it must be Patrick Brontë. Again, whether it is or not is open to debate. So whilst we're here, we're going to have a look in the church. It is open, and it is a stunning day today. Just on the outside here you might be able to see a sundial, and there are some carved words above it, so we'll just go and see what that says. So the sundial is apparently given to the church in 1726 by Mr. Richard Pollard. I can't make out what those inscriptions are above it. Pray, no, can't make them out, sorry. I'm sure somebody will be able to tell me. So this is one of the, well, lots of these graves are quite interesting. John Dawson Hopkinson, only 27, but it's got a hymn underneath. This one's obviously quite a sad gravestone. Features a little statue of a sleeping child, and unfortunately there are quite a number of infants in this grave. But like I said, that was just how life seemed to be in Haworth then. There was not much life expectancy. Inside the church is a vault that almost all of the Brontes are buried in, so they're not in the graveyard. Obviously we can't go in the vault itself, but we might see a notice of it inside. Right. So we are inside the church. So obviously this video isn't really to look at the history of the Brontes or the church, so this is just a quick look really. history of the church here. Look at all this Bible is. So this is the memorial to the Brontë family, and as I say, I believe they're in a vault underneath the church, as are some of the other people here. So now we start on West Lane, which is where the hauntings really crank up. And we start with the King's Arms, and I don't have any specific stories for this one, although there is a sign here that says the cellars are used by the village undertaker as a mortuary, and the rear of the inn was once a slaughterhouse, so it's believed to be haunted. However, one story we do know is for this one, the Old White Lion. This one is said to be haunting in room 7, and in that room is the ghost of Lily Cove. Now Lily Cove was a parachutist, and in 1902 she was involved in the village fair that they were holding here. She was going to do a stunt by going up in a hot air balloon, jumping out, and a parachute would open, which would land back down to the earth. However, what happened is the parachute didn't open, and Lily came crashing down. So Lily was still alive, but brought here to the White Lion, and unfortunately, whilst in room 7, passed away. She's buried in Haworth Cemetery, and a bit later on we'll go and look for her. This is a photo of her performing the stunt that she'd done many times before. And she was quite famous, so her death did make news headlines, kind of, back in Edwardian Britain. But she's been seen quite frequently looking and staring at the people who've stopped in room 7 of the hotel. Next up is 15 West Lane. This is the Weaver's Guest House. This one is apparently haunted every 19th of December by Emily Brontë, because she used to come here with her father when he was visiting parishioners, and her ghost is said to be seen flitting between the walls and the buildings on the street just on that day, which might be the reason why she's linked with this one. So next we have the Sun Hotel, which is also said to be haunted. Voices have been heard here, as has once again a man, spirit of a man in a leather cape, possibly the top hat. Could it be the same one who just visited all these pubs? I'm not sure. But outside the Sun Inn, and we'll see it in a moment as we get closer, there is another stone head. Now that was placed there by the landlord in the 70s, so it's not been there very long. But the placing of these heads does seem to suggest that there are some restless spirits within. So now we're on 52 West Lane, the last of our haunted buildings, and not a pub this time. If you look above me here, you can see another stone face, which again might suggest restless spirits within. In 1898, a man was visiting Haworth, and he was coming back here where he was stopping, and he saw some lights moving around in the upstairs room. Now he thought that this had just been one of the people who was stopping with him. When he went in the bottom door here, the 3 people who lived in his house were still downstairs. Now, that wasn't actually all that poor man experienced, because when he retired to the bedroom upstairs there was a 4-poster bed, and just as he was drifting off there was almost like a heave underneath the bed that moved the bed into the air, So it's almost like there was a poltergeist activity in this house. And again, that might be why that statue is there. So now we're at Haworth Cemetery. This cemetery is built when the other one that we were in earlier became too overcrowded. I'm going to finish our Haunted Haworth video here, see if we can find the grave of Lily Cove, the parachutist. So Dom's off looking to the right, I'll look to the left and see if we can find the Lily. Tom went the right direction, literally found it straight away. Here we are. It's not easy to see in the light, unfortunately. In loving memory of Elizabeth Mary, Miss Lily Cove, parachutist. And if you can just about make it out, there is a picture of the hot air balloon just there. Okay, so we fairly quickly found the gravestone of Lily Cove, who's said to haunt room 7 of the Old White Lion. So as you can see, there's certainly a lot of hauntings in Haworth, especially from the bottom of Main Street onto West Lane. I think we've covered about 10 just in a very short period of time. And it's only been a whistle-stop tour. There are more tales, things from the parsonage, for example. There's some stories from there. However, you can sign up for things like Haunted Haworth tours and get some professionals to do those. So I hope you've enjoyed our little look at some of those places, and especially the stone faces that we saw on the wall. We'll catch you soon for the next video. Don't have nightmares.